Time now for a browse through the French papers, as ever at this time. Dipti is with us today, starting with reactions to the press after Emmanuel Macron's meeting, aren't you, with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday?
That's right. The French Catholic paper in particular is looking at this. La Croix hails Emmanuel Macron's efforts to receive these so-called controversial leaders. Already in just a few months as president, he's met with not only Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, but also Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. So in particular, La Croix applauds Macron's efforts to meet with these leaders, even if he knows that they don't agree on many things. I quote, La Croix says, "History obliges leaders today to make an effort to honor the memories of people, to go beyond their own agendas, and to work towards a future. This is at least the diplomatic gamble that Macron is taking."
Yeah, indeed. La Croix also talking about that ceremony held yesterday, Dipti, to honour 13,000 French Jews. Now, these were Jews who were rounded up in a Paris stadium during World War II.
That's right. And Netanyahu and Emmanuel Macron were both present for that commemoration, commemorating 13,000 French Jews who were rounded up in the Veldiv, that Paris stadium, 75 years ago, and sent to their deaths in the Auschwitz camp. Macron reiterated France's role in the roundup, echoing actually comments made by former French President Jacques Chirac about back in 1995, when he first recognized the role that the French state played in sending these French Jews to their death. In doing so, for La Croix at least, Macron is ensuring that France's Vichy government is not just a parenthesis, but a shameful part of French history not to be repeated. And it was in fact a direct swipe at far-right leader Marine Le Pen, who said during her presidential campaign that the Vichy government wasn't part of France at the time.
OK, well, Macron may be getting praise for how he's handling things on the international stage. A lot of the papers, though, are critiquing his domestic policies, aren't they?
That's right. In particular, these tax reforms. We've been hearing a lot about these tax reforms in the past weeks because the French MPs are debating it. One of the main ideas of these tax reforms is exonerating 80% of French households from paying residency taxes, which will be in effect from next year. It's part of his tax plans. It was also a major campaign promise, but it's not receiving a lot of support in the French press. In particular, the right-leaning paper Le Figaro reports on what it calls la grande inquiétude, the great concern of local authorities, because of course these residency taxes are paid to local councils, and so naturally mayors and local authorities are worried about how this is going to affect their budgets. To ease their concerns, though, a summit of local leaders is being organized in the Senate today, but Le Figaro calls it a good idea in appearance only, une fausse bonne idée. They say basically Macron wants to give French households more purchasing power, but in particular low-income households, which ultimately means that the middle class will have to pay for this.
OK, well, speaking of money concerns, some of France's major political parties are facing major cash flow problems. This is after the massive election defeats that a lot of them suffered, isn't it?
That's right. You'll see on the front page of Le Parisien newspaper, they call it the bad finances of French political parties. Because here in France, political parties are rewarded financially for their good election results. And that means that they're not rewarded if they have bad results. For instance, they get reimbursed certain campaign costs if they reach a certain percentage of votes. Well, most of those parties, we do know, got a shellacking at the French elections back in May. And so they're on what Le Parisien calls a financial diet.
Yeah, a lot of parties might have to make some pretty drastic changes to plug holes in their budgets.
Well, remember, all of this is so unprecedented. Nobody really saw this coming, and they certainly didn't expect to get the kind of defeat that they did. So Le Parisien says the Socialist Party, for instance, that's former President François Hollande's party, they're staring down at the possibility of selling their party headquarters, albeit in the very upmarket part of Paris, Rue de Solferino. The Conservative Party are facing a, quote, Himalayan debt, and there's a battle now to recover 3 million euros collected by François Fillon during the presidential campaign. Even the National Front Party is facing a loss of about 500,000 euros per year. But there is a silver lining to this, at least if you look at this cartoon from Ranson in Le Parisien. On the left, you have the man who says, we're going to have trouble saving money at the end of the month, to which his colleague says, well, at least this will bring us closer to the people.
That's one nice way of putting it. Finally, let's end with some Wimbledon news. Roger Federer's history-making win yesterday.
Well, the French newspaper, the French sports newspaper L'Equipe calls it divine, simply divine, one word on its headline. Beautiful picture there as well. Federer, of course, beat the Croatian Marin Cilic in 3 sets. It was his 8th Wimbledon title. It's his 19th Grand Slam title and caps a record-breaking year in men's tennis after, of course, Rafael Nadal won his decima at the French Open. After being injury-plagued, Federer, it's really a vindication for Federer. He finds himself now back in the top 3 with this victory.
Okay, well done to Roger Federer. Thanks very much, Dipti with the French papers here on France 24.